All right, time to bring on the pain. Here comes 8 JSOWs. And 4 more. There we go. All right, there they are on their way about 30 miles to target. Hey, this is Striker. Going to be talking about some VR quality of life improvements using Scratchpad and the Way. Each of these on their own are great, but when you use them together, it just makes life so much better for those of us in VR. You can use the Way on flat screen, and that's actually how it's written. The guy who writes it doesn't own VR, so we got to come up with some ingenious ways to get around it, right? So first thing I'm going to talk about, you can use them on their own, is but I'm going to talk about Scratchpad. And Scratchpad is, like I said, just a little add-on for VR, and it lets you copy coordinates onto a little temporary notepad. All right, here's the GitHub page. I'll put links to this stuff in the show notes. But basically, you grab this, you get it installed, and then you're ready to use it. So that little translucent window that popped up there is the Scratchpad. You can drag it around, put it where you want. And then let's hop into the map here. Okay, here we are on the Foria server in Syria. Let's go pick on Bashar al-Assad airbase. We got 3 more targets left there to take out. And yeah, so let's get that window positioned where we want it. And let's get ready to make use of Scratchpad. So as you can see, you can move the cursor around and you can get the coordinates of the targets. But it's a little bit tricky. So let's go down to Scratchpad and click on that one button. And what you're going to see is it opens up the little LL, but more importantly, it puts a dot on the screen. And that dot, whatever's under that dot, that spot on the map is going to get copied to Scratchpad in terms of latitude, longitude, and elevation. And it'll do it in all 3 formats. So you can zoom right in, get really super precise. You can see up there, we got coordinates down. Now, writing that stuff down would be a pain, but look at this. Click that, and we have it in degrees, minutes, seconds, and decimal seconds, degrees, minutes, decimal minutes, and grid coordinates, as well as elevation in meters and feet. So we just move it over to our next target. Click on that LL again. Boom. There it is. It puts it below, so it keeps adding to. So the first one we entered is at the top. The newest one that we entered is at the bottom, and it proceeds that way. So now we've got 2. There are 3 targets, right? So let's maybe go and get that 3rd target. Where is it? Zoom out a bit. Okay, there we go. Zoom in. Again, the more you zoom in, you're just going to get more accuracy with your grid coordinates or your longitude. There we go. All right. That's good. Get in the center. Good. And then we'll click on that LL. There we go. 3rd one's done. You can drag it up. There's 1, 2, and 3. We're ready to rock. And now all we need to do is get this stuff input into the fighter as waypoints. And that's the whole idea, is you use this stuff to enter in waypoints, right? So you can use target of opportunity, or you could just fly waypoints if you want. It's up to you. But these are specific points on the map. All right, so we're gonna come down here. What I do, because Foria's got all of the waypoint numbers used up, I put them in as mark points. All right, you do need to be precise because, well, you don't have to, but it's good to use precise so that you can get as close to target as you can because, hey, we're using this to attack stuff, right? Now you can change between the 2 different types of precision here, degrees, minutes, seconds, decimal seconds, or degrees, minutes, decimal minutes. We'll leave it in degrees, minutes, decimal minutes. And you'll see why later, because that's what we use on the way when we move on to that. So let's go back here. Let's find go to mark point 1, and then we can start entering in the information. And you just enter it in on the upfront controller. And away you go. I went and entered elevation next, but usually I do lat long and then I'll do elevation afterwards. Got a little befuddled there, I guess. Okay, so we're going to go through and enter in all of these points. One at a time. There we go. It's entered. So look at that. Magic, right? Easy. So now we have a mark point, or if you're using waypoints, you have a waypoint that you could navigate to if that's all you want to do. Or what we're doing here, we want to drop some weapons on it. So we had 3 targets there. We're going to enter in 3 more waypoints using the mark points. And then we're all set. Now, as you can see, this can be a little tedious, right? What if you had like 8 targets you want to hit? Like I did with the JSOWs in the opening. I had 8 JSOWs. Entering all those in is a nightmare. I know, I've done it before. So, but Scratchpad has its use. So let's speed this thing up already and get down to the end. And away you go. Okay. Those are all done. Look at that. Mark point 1, mark point 2, mark point 3, all have it. Now, one thing I like to do is I like to clear the Scratchpad. You can turn it on and off. So I go in there, you just click in it, and then I have a shortcut using voice attack where I say clear, and it'll clear it. Really handy to have. Kind of keeps it from getting all cluttered up. All right, so all of our 8 JSOWs are still on their way to target. So as you can see, Scratchpad really helps out, especially when you're in VR. The only options are to, you might have to have something written down somewhere and lift up your visor and try and key stuff in. It's a real nightmare, and I wish that this had been taken care of a long time ago, because we've all, if you've used VR for a while, had to try and figure out ways to get stuff entered into the upfront controller from information you may have written down. There's some other programs you can use, like OpenKnee with a tablet where you can write things down, but if it's a dynamic thing and quick and easy you want to do like this, Scratchpad is a lifesaver. And it writes that to a file, so you can actually use that file, manipulate it, do what you want. All right, so there's got to be another way, right? And hey, there is. It's called the way. So here's the way as it's seen on the Eagle Dynamics forums. So this is the first page where he talks about what's covered, and he mentions here on the last page just today, actually, that he's added some additional support for the F-15 and also made some other changes. So this is the Git page, the first landing page you'll see. And when you go and want to download it, you're going to go to Releases. And this is where we can see that the F-15E was added. So one thing you want to do when you use the way in VR is you want to assign some hotkeys. So I use a Tartarus, which I have strapped on my left thigh. And I use one button with a Shift-Control-S for saving a waypoint to the way, and then Shift-Control-T to transfer it to DCS. And then a last one, which deletes waypoints from the way. So if you make a mistake or when you're done importing everything, it's good to delete them all. And this is all explained on the web page. All right, so what I did was I'm going to sit here in on my desktop view, kind of showing the VR mirror and the way, because the way is not made for use in VR. So what we do is we use that little dot from Scratchpad, and we'll put that on the targets that we want to hit, and then we hit that hotkey, and you'll see it's creating those waypoints. Boom. 1, 2, and where's the other guy up there? 3. Drag it around, zoom in, and then I hit it again. Look at that. 3 waypoints are now copied to that. Now, it didn't do anything on Scratchpad. Scratchpad's empty. We're just using Scratchpad for that reference dot. So back in the jet here, I'm going to get things set up so that we can input using the way. So you need to choose your mark points. Now I'm going to do, or your waypoints, I'm going to do mark point 1, 2, and 3. But for some reason, I got to choose the waypoint below the one I want to start at. So it starts at waypoint 59, and then the next one is mark point 1. You also need to be in precise for the upfront controller for coordinates. All right, so I told it to import. Now, this is new in this latest version. I can check that box, don't show it again, so it'll automatically do it. As it is right now, I have to jump out to the desktop to tell it to go ahead and do its stuff. So I confirm. Make sure you read that so you're doing it right, and then that's it. I'm done. Now, from now on, I'm not going to have to confirm or do anything or pop out each time to confirm. It'll just automatically do it. So you can see those upfront controller numbers. They're all getting pressed. It's all getting input. It'll do mark point 1, 2, and 3, or waypoints 1, 2, 3, whatever you want. Because remember, we're just entering waypoints. We're going to use those waypoints as targets for our weapons. And look at that. It's all done. It's been entered. That was pretty easy, right? A lot quicker than manually keying that stuff in. All right, so next thing we got to do is we go to our JDAMs, which I have here. Go and choose the correct mark point that I want as my first one. Waypoint designate for JDAM 1 on that station, and then target of opportunity 2 is going to be for mark point 2, and then I step over to the next set of JDAMs, and it automatically jumps back to target of opportunity 1 for that one. I know that was kind of quick, but the stuff works. All right, so as you can see, it was a lot quicker, much easier. Now I can take off from the jet, drop those JDAMs, and I don't have to use the targeting pod. They'll just fall to the targets that were programmed. It's almost like pre-planned, but you have to use target of opportunity this way. Let's watch these JSOWs. Look at that. They're all ready, making their pop-up. Remember, we got 8 JSOWs all flying into this base. Oh, look at that. Starting to impact. Ooh, missed that tower. Boom. But right on target. 8 targets gone. That was pretty good. That was a lot of fun. And it's pretty cool being able to do that, right? So I just wanted to show you. So that attack you saw, this was my session where I was entering in the targets for all those JSOWs. Okay, so I'm just going to hop around each target using Scratchpad, the little dot, and then hitting my input or input hotkey to send it off to the way. So as I'm doing this, the way is building up waypoints, information. And I like to zoom in a fair amount so I can get really good precision. You don't have to go that close, but again, the closer you get, the more precise your weapons will be. And as you saw, all those JSOWs were spot on. They just nailed all of these targets. So my main thing was I wanted to take out most of the air defenses here. Just target a bunch of stuff, take it out with those JSOWs. All right, so once we get this, we're done. Now we're ready to input it. All right, so here I am. Going to get it prepped up. Go down to waypoint 59 because I want to start at mark point 1. So it goes from waypoint 59 to mark point 1. It's in precise. We're ready to go. And then time to do it. It's 8 waypoints. Now, obviously, sped up, but it does not take much time at all. All done. So now what I do is it's time to go and input the coordinates for each of the JSOWs, right? So set each of them to target of opportunity, stepping through each station. And then I go to the JDAM display. And then I'll want to go to mission. See, it's empty right now. So it's at the first station or hardpoint, which has 2 JDAMs. I'm going to do waypoint designate for mark point 1, and then I'm going to go to target of opportunity 2, step to the next mark point, and then waypoint designate. Then step to the next hardpoint on the aircraft, and it defaults back to target of opportunity 1. Change my mark point, waypoint designate, target of opportunity 2, next waypoint, waypoint designate, and do that for all 8 targets. So each hardpoint on the aircraft has 2 JDAMs, and so I'm programming for each one of those 2 target of opportunity targets. And this will allow me to have 8 sorry, these are JSOWs. 8 JSOWs, JDAMs, it's all the same, with individual targets. Now, when I'm done, when I've got them all programmed, don't touch anything except for that one right there. Press the target to deselect it. Now, you don't want to designate anything else. All right, you got to be careful with this. So don't use your targeting pod or anything to target anything on the ground. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm stepping through each hardpoint and setting it back to T001. And this way I know they're all set. Okay, they're all on T001. All right, so here we are. We're en route to the target, getting ready. So what I like to do is I like to release them all at once. So basically 4 at a time, right? So to do that, you need to go back into the JDAM page, just the JDAM page, not mission, and then select quantity, and then you select each one of those stations. And then you can return back out, and you're good. So when we release, we're going to actually release all 4, and it's going to be using target of opportunity 1 targets. And so it takes, I mean, I could always do a separate video around this. It's a little can be a little tricky at times, but basically each station on the aircraft has target of opportunity 1 targets stored, and then target of opportunity stored. Here we go. Here comes 4 that we're going to drop. These will all go off to the target of opportunity 1 that's allocated for each station. There we go. And then we come back in here and we set to target of opportunity 2, stepping through each station. There we go. Now we're all on target of opportunity 2 program. And then let's release these guys. And there we go. So it's 8 JSOWs with 8 individual targets on their way to target. And, well, Doesn't get easier than that, and it's pretty cool to watch too, isn't it? And it's kind of, obviously, you're kind of going up and just spamming a bunch of this stuff, but you know, it's not something you have to do all the time. It's just fun to do, and hey, look at the results, right? I mean, you can't argue with results. There we go. So that's it. I mean, it doesn't get easier than that. You don't have to fly around using the targeting pod to pick out individual targets. You can, and again, obviously this is for static known targets, right? But you can also use this just for setting waypoints. Like, let's say you have a complicated waypoints or flight plan you want to fly. Well, you can use this, hop into the jet on a multiplayer server, and you don't have to worry about writing stuff down or trying to figure out how to get those entered. Just use Scratchpad and the Way, and just get them programmed in, and you can fly whatever path you want. I mean, you can also get a little bit more fancy and with the Way and put labels and stuff like that and reorder them. But with VR, it's kind of difficult to do. Maybe somebody will take this guy's project and fork it into a VR more friendly version. But for now, Scratchpad and the Way is the way to do it. Yeah, there we go. So hopefully this demonstration was helpful for you. It wasn't really intended as a big tutorial, just kind of showing how I do stuff. But it is definitely something, if you're in VR and flying DCS, you should give this a look. These guys deserve a lot of credit for putting this stuff together.
Great work. We have captured another base. You can now rearm there.
So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm happy to throw another video together with a little bit more detail on various aspects of this, or really anything. I'll answer any questions you have, and if I don't know the answers, I will certainly point you in the right direction. Hope you enjoyed the video once again, and appreciate your time watching. I'll see you out there. Take care.